we are to have you on tonight. And I know you had a town last week, but I wish we would have had you on last week because the college football playoff rankings had its first rankings last week. So the way and I, we were pretty much bitching all the hell about the rankings.
Yeah. Y'all didn't want that. Look here, y'all didn't want that smoke. Y'all didn't want that smoke.
I thought, look, I was like, well, we were bitching back and forth about it. I'm thinking, God damn, we need this man's thunder because I know that he had a whole lot to say. So in lieu of you were on your vacation doing last week, we want to give you time to express thoughts. So your thoughts. So when you first saw those rankings, and you saw you versus Cincinnati, like with 2 wins of a power fives on the road on this resume, as well as the latter being for those who saw the game, a domination of top 10 team in Notre Dame, who's going to be a over 10-win team this year. Okay, so with all that on the resume, they put them where? Number 6. And
just far enough away for you not to be relevant, but close enough for us to say, but we threw you a little bone, guys. You're the highest ranked group of 5 team we've ever put in there. Doesn't that make you feel great? Huh? Good for you. Now go on about your business. Get out of my face, son.
Right. And, yeah, exactly. Because again, as I mentioned, I didn't have obviously no one in the mama had a problem with Georgia being number 1. I think we all agree that Georgia is Georgia and everybody else. Yeah. I don't give a damn about Alabama. Alabama, if they were bad coaching away from losing to LSU last week. Orgeron lost that game for LSU last week. Going for a 4th down, when they were 4th and goal, I think from the 9, they were down 20-14 with over 5 minutes left in the ball game. If I recall correctly, kick a field goal.
Yep.
You within 3. Your defense
has been shutting down Alabama all day.
Yes. And they would have been down 3, and there would have been less pressure. But it'd be about driving down the field to at least kick a field goal, send the ball to overtime, put more pressure on the Crimson Tide. Instead, Orgeron decided to go for it on 4th down and go from the 9 with more than enough time left on the clock to get the 3 points and then stay within striking distance. And that was ball game.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I said
it wasn't just the fact that it was bad play call. Didn't they lose yardage on that play too?
Yes, they did.
See, that's what really set them up. Because you know what? Oh my God, the influence of Ron Rivera being here in DC kind of is rubbed off of me a little bit. So I understand that.
Riverboat Ron.
You know, and this demand has been coming up short here in DC for the past 2 seasons, but that's another conversation for another day. But I understood the attempt. And like you said, with the way LSU's defense have been playing, you put Alabama on a short field, you go ahead and probably force them to a 3 and out, hopefully, right? And then they go ahead, punt the ball, give you back another short field, and you have another attempt at going for another touchdown in that moment. So I understood the attempt, but you can't lose yardage in that situation.
Correct.
And not the amount of yardage that they lost. So yeah, in retrospect,
got Alabama out of bad field position.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
exactly. So I understood it from a gambling standpoint because, of course, you're unranked LSU playing against number 2 Alabama.
Yes.
Why not? Why take it safe? You know, because we lose.
Right.
You know, if we gamble and win, oh my God, that's the best thing ever.
And I get that.
So I understood the gamble. Yeah. But my God, this Bama was playing 21 blackjack, had like 8 and thought he was doing something. I'm like, you can't lose yardage in that situation though. Yeah. But yeah, I get it though.
And so basically, to your point, D, almost outside of Georgia, the top, 6 or 7 play shitty. Let's just be real. UC included. I mean, we were talking about UC. I mean, you play in a 3-win Tulsa squad for homecoming.
Yes.
You came within 2
college game day.
College game day was in the house.
Here,
give y'all some show y'all some love. Well-deserved love. You come within 2 4th-down stops.
Yes.
Of losing.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So, which I guess is I don't want to call it blessing, like, because again, almost all the teams outside of Georgia play shitty in their wins.
Yes.
Ohio State barely beat Nebraska, a terrible Nebraska squad. We already talked about Alabama and LSU. Oregon just squeaking by a more awful Washington squad.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, we know that Michigan State got curb stomped at Purdue.
At Purdue, yeah. I'll say this though, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Last week was a wacky week in Division I football as a whole, from FCS and FBS.
Sure.
So if you survived last week, you're in the land of the living.
Right. Correct.
I applaud you, because there was a lot of.
I was getting messages from cats who were like, "Oh man, your boys didn't do what they needed to do. Your boys didn't do what they needed to do." I said, you know what? They did better than Michigan State did.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you're gonna penalize me for a close loss, then you better really penalize them for getting their behinds whooped.
Right. And they didn't really penalize, because if you notice, they dropped from 3. I mean, they did, but not as much as I thought. They dropped them from 3 to 7.
6, 7, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Because they put them behind Michigan.
Right.
And they beat Michigan.
Yes.
But they look so bad, they put them behind Michigan.
Yeah.
Even though Michigan State got the head they had. But I'll say this, man. And this goes back to last week, but we won't have to worry about it going forward, because I was going to mention this earlier. We talked a little off camera about the disrespect they showed the American Conference, but the real disrespect to me, and I say this as a fan of this conference, a group in that part of the country, is where how they evaluate the ACC. Wake Forest, before this past weekend when they lost at Carolina, Wake Forest was ranked 8th originally. So we all know that Wake Forest did not have really any quality wins outside. Maybe Virginia was the only quality win on their schedule. But they put those jokers at 8. Y'all were sitting at 6.
Yes.
So basically,
they were setting it up so that if it comes down to an undefeated Wake Forest and an undefeated Cincinnati, the precedent is set that they've never left out an undefeated Power 5.
Power 5, exactly.
So Wake Forest is getting in.
And they underscored it by ranking 2 other teams in the ACC that last week were not ranked in the AP nor the college football coaches poll.
Yes.
And NC State and Pitt.
The most egregious part of the ranking system is not necessarily 1 through 10. It's 15 through 25, because that's how you guarantee who's going to be in the top 4. Right. If you tell me that Ohio State is in the top 4, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I want to know who they got 15 to 25, because it's Purdue, it's Wisconsin, it's all these other teams that Ohio State has the opportunity to play, so that they can then say, hey, we have quality wins on our resume. We beat 4 top 25 teams. UC only beat 1, therefore we deserve to be ahead of them, right? And when you look at a team like Houston, I think Houston's like 7-1, 8-1. Yeah. When you look at a team like SMU, I think they're they just lost their second game, but that was to Houston, right? Right. So when we're talking last week, you had 2 7-1 teams that are ranked in the top 25 in the AP and the coaches poll, but you don't rank them in the top 25, because if you did, and it came down to Oklahoma, Wake Forest, and UC, and UC beats 2 more top 25 schools, plus they got a top 10 win on their resume, you can't help but put UC in the Final Four, right? Right. But if you give Oklahoma a few more shots, if you give Ohio State a few more shots, if you rank a bunch of SEC schools up in there, okay, cool. Now we can just basically squeeze UC out, because they don't have any other opportunities to make an impact.
Right. So that's why I was mentioning Wake Forest, because because if you, for those of you who know, this past Saturday, Wake blew a big lead against UNC. So what if Wake were to hang on and not blow a lead against UNC? They still be on 8. Obviously, they still be undefeated. They would have moved up, given what happened to Michigan State. They would have moved up. So you basically, if UC was placed at 5 this week, and looking how far Michigan State fell, and they were ahead of Wake was also ahead of Oklahoma, believe it or not. So if Oklahoma was sitting at 8 this week, Wake would have been at least 7. So you still send up the scenario that if Wake were to be now, even though now the coach, the AP put NC State and Pitt back in. So Wake is literally plays NC State at home this week. So if they were still undefeated, watch this now. If they're still undefeated, if they were to beat NC State this week, they would have had a top, not only a top 25, but a top 20 win. Because NC State's like, I think they're 16th now. So, so you could have had a damn near a winnable top 15 squad. And then if Clemson keeps winning, they play Clemson later on this year as well. They're in the same division. If Clemson keeps winning, I got them to you. They would have put Clemson in next week at 24 or some shit like that. And so
because why not, right?
That's where the manipulation of the system comes in. Again, the press and the reaction is in the top 5, 6, 7. You know, that's where all the hype goes.
Right.
But the manipulation of the system is 15 through 25.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
easily. And
so basically, again, it's still set up a little bit for Wake is 12th, but with all most of the teams that above them going to be playing each other, it still may set up for them. They're one last squad. They still have a chance based upon where they sit. So that's why I mentioned Clemson. If Clemson plays somebody, they should annihilate this week. So they'll probably be back in. Pitt was probably going to win the Coastal Division. And so, long story short, if Wake makes it to the championship game, which is going to be odd, Wake and Pitt in the ACC title game. But anyway,
so weird.
If this college football season's been weird anyway. So if Wake were to play Pitt as a ranked Pitt team, they could say if they were to beat Carolina last week, they could say we beat a top 15 squad in NC State. We'd be in the top 25, possibly in Clemson the following week. And we beat probably going to be the top 20 team in Pitt for the league championship game. That's 3 ranked squads ahead of the one that UC did a number on in Notre Dame.
Correct.
It's
precedent is said that they've never left out an undefeated Power 5 school.
Yes.
So we just kept with tradition and felt like that was the best move.
Right. So
and then you let Wake Forest in as the 4. They get mollywopped by Alabama or by Georgia as the 1, and nobody says boo. But let UC be the 4 seed and get manhandled by Georgia, and everybody be like, see, that's why the group of 5 doesn't need a shot in here. That's why they go back and look at the last college playoffs that we've had over the last 5 years.
Most of them blowouts.
Straight up curb stomps.
Most of them been blowouts.
I mean, dude, there are probably more blowouts than there are really close games, right?
That's true.
But you want to say don't give UC a shot because they're just gonna get blown out. So does Notre Dame every year. So does Oklahoma every year. Y'all invite them back every time.
Remember Michigan State got blown out? Remember Washington got blown out? Clemson got blown out by LSU, and then Ohio State the following year.
Yeah.
It happens.
It happens.
It fucking happens.
But I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to go ahead and put this on tape now, right? Because I don't know if I said it before, but I'm going to say it now. There's going to be a undefeated Power 5 team left out of the playoffs this year.
It's possible.
I mean, we all know who this is. Oklahoma. Stop playing.
Yeah.
And the way that everything is set up.
You think they'll go undefeated? I mean,
they play at Baylor this week.
Yo, they keep dodging these bullets. I don't know how.
They're in the matrix.
This is the opportunity for it to happen. Yo, they say Neo win this the whole season long. I don't know how they do it, but they doing it. But yeah, this is the opportunity for it to happen. If it doesn't happen, the way the committee has been doing things, unless something drastic happens and Oklahoma somehow shoots up to 5 or 4, I got a strange feeling they're going to get left out and be the first Power 5 conference team to do so. And let's be real, as of right now, the committee doesn't look at the Big 12 as a Power 5 conference.
No, they don't. And they're just setting it up for the future after Texas and
Oklahoma
leave. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Oklahoma beat West Virginia at home on the walk-off field goal. It didn't help that they came within an interception of losing to Tulsa first week of the season. They're blowing that big lead. It didn't help that they barely beat Texas, came behind and beat Texas, and fell behind 10-0 at halftime to Kansas. It didn't help.
Yeah, their resume is like a recent college graduate. It is unimpressive.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It just is.
Yes.
Right.
You know, it doesn't say that they don't have potential, but as of right now, it is highly unimpressive. And I don't see it getting any better anytime soon unless they beat Baylor this week. But then they have to do it in impressive fashion.
Right.
Something they haven't been able to do to lesser teams this entire season, which is why everything that you guys have already talked about with the stacking of the the SEC and Big Ten teams, not just in the top 10, but in the top 25, is alluding to at least 2, if not 3 or more, getting into the playoffs right now.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
So
100%.
We're talking about Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma has to go to Baylor and go to Oklahoma State. They're going to lose. If it's not this week, it's going to be the Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's pretty damn good. So, so I think out of the way, the Big 12 probably going to be counted out. So it comes down to me, and I know this is only the second week. I get it, y'all. It's only the second week of the college football playoff, but I think this ain't over. I think it's going to be more upsets. I think that given that Oregon has been all that impressive, they're primed to be knocked off soon.
Yep.
I think that Ohio State has to play Michigan State and Michigan. I know they're on Michigan.
And Purdue.
And possibly Purdue. Yes.
Yeah.
So, So so wait a minute, do they play Purdue in the regular season?
Yeah, Purdue.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So there you go. So again, it's going to be it ain't over. As long as if you UC, just do what Luke Fickle said earlier this week. As long as y'all keep playing, y'all keep winning.
Just keep winning.
Just keep winning. You can't control what you can't control. Just keep
winning. Yep.
Stop fucking around with these lesser teams and just keep winning. Because
I think that's a good conversation to have. I think when the level of expectation is you're supposed to blow these teams out, and you start pressing, then you start trying to do stuff that is probably outside of your comfort zone and what you normally do, right? And you let teams hang around because you just like, we got to get up, we got to score here, we need another score, and you're just putting so much pressure. It's just human nature, right? Like everything you've heard is, if y'all not blowing people out, you don't deserve to be here.
Sure.
Okay, well, we gotta blow people out then.
Style
we gotta
points.
blow people out. And style points matter and this, that, and the other, whatever. But you just, and we're talking about that level of pressure on 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, man. And it's just human nature to push and to press and to get yourself in a situation where you're like, how do we get here again? We got to survive. Okay, just win. Oh my God, we're gonna. You're just kind of freaking out a little bit.
Right.
So I think for them, if they can come out, I think they play Friday.
Yeah, they play South Florida.
They can come out and get a solid, strong win where you get a let's call it 20-point win. It kind of just brings the whole anxiety level down a bit. Like, okay, cool. All right, we know we're good. We got a couple of at least one first rounder on defense, maybe 2.
Yeah.
We got we got a a top 3 or 4 round quarterback. Like we got some pieces, man. And we know who we are. Let's play like we know how to play. Go ahead and win these games and let the chips fall where they may.
And, they have to be careful too, because they play after this week, they host SMU.
Yeah.
SMU's pretty good, y'all.
And SMU's legit.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you would know it because they're not in the college ball playoff rankings, but the coaches know, the AP voters know. So the point is that going back to what happened this past week with Tulsa, you said yourself, game day was here.
Mm-hmm.
Game day was here. They're giving UC a lot of love. You had Nick Lachey at the celebrity picker, right? And, Cincinnati's own Nick Lachey, by the way, West Sider. And he, you imagine as a kid on this football team, you believe in your own process as well. I mean, it's like, I'm not making excuses for these young men, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You're hype.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be kicking this team's ass. Mm-hmm. You press. You gonna get up to it because these are kids. Yeah. So, you see it. I mean, you saw it with Alabama. They almost lost LSU. I mean, conference play shit happens.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? In conference play, it's because they know you. So at any rate, as long as UC keeps winning out and just let everything else fall where they may. Again, it ain't over. I still see movement in the top 4 easily, given.
I agree.
Except for maybe Georgia.
Yeah.
I think Alabama has to go to Auburn.
Yes.
So
that ain't easy.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're Auburn, you saw your arch rival struggle with LSU. You saw them struggle against Florida. You saw them lose to Texas A&M. They're not invincible. You hate those boys too.
Yep.
So should be a lot of fun.
Get it on.
It should be a lot of fun. So it ain't over. But again, I didn't have a bigger problem this week as it did last week.
Yeah.
Actually, I was surprised that it moved UC up.
You and me both.
I was surprised they moved up.
I think that was the difference between last week and this week.
Uh-huh.
Last week I was mad at what they did. This week I was surprised that they didn't leave them at 6 or even have the nerve to drop them to 7 just because of how close that game was.
Right. I totally agree.
But it's tough to do that when Michigan State loses.
Yeah.
Yes.
That helped us.
That helped a lot. That helped a whole hell of a lot. So thank you, Purdue, right? So anyway, and Purdue has a chance to fuck some more people up this
yes,
season.
They do.
So they're the ultimate spoilers this year.
I'm a big Boilermaker fan.
There you go. First, they took out Wisconsin on the road. They cursed off on the road. Then they was it? Yeah. And then they beat Iowa. Excuse me. They spayed Iowa. That's what they did. They spayed Iowa, and then they took out Michigan State. They get Ohio State.
Just get Ohio State. I'm like, I'm buying the Purdue Boilermaker jersey. I'm buying the Boilermaker jersey, son.
Oh my goodness!
It would be fitting. It is black and gold, but
there you go.
Hello.
Black and old gold.
I thought I'd help out with that a little bit. Yeah. I thought I'd go ahead and give. I go ahead and I'd Ron Strickland that one for you. I'll go ahead and give you the assist.
Well, speaking of professionals, let's move to